Hey guys, how you guys doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to watch this video that I've made for you guys. In today's video, we are going to take a look really quickly at configuring, because I was asked to go over the configuration files for UbuntuSway Remix. It's a distro review that I recently did that is a window manager that's a drop-in replacement for i3, which is Sway, made into a Ubuntu distro, but it looks and feels much like a desktop environment, which one would, if they didn't know better, they would think that it was actually using GNOME, but it's actually not. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that really quickly here. And so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so here is the actual desktop for the UbuntuSway Remix. I'm going to go ahead and unhide myself. I unhide myself. I'm going to hide myself again because, you know what, I don't want to detract from the real estate. As you can see here, everything has got this top bar at the top that we went over the last time. It's got so many. It's a way bar what it's using. And it uses also a good portion of NW-look tools in there, which is, they're amazing. They really make Wayland look really good. And it uses the actual NWG drawer, which is this app that is very similar to GNOME. It's kind of GNOME centric, but it's actually not. And so instead of, you could use it this way, no problem. But then really, why would you use a window manager, right? If you want a desktop environment, because realistically, that's the thing about a desktop environment that is significantly different from a window manager. A window manager is made more for production, looking, for efficiency, right? You just use key bindings to do things. Like here, let me show you the perfect example of that. You see this help menu that's here in the bottom, well, half left of the screen. It takes a large portion of the real estate. Those are the key bindings that are already set by these people from default to do different things. Like, for example, to hide it, you hit the Windows Shift and then the question mark, and it hides the help menu. So now you have maximum real estate. Well, that's really what a window manager is about. Like, I've gone ahead and I've configured my Firefox to open on a key binding, which is the mod or window key, Shift, and then W, phonetically W for web browser, right? Okay. Or B for browser. You can set your key bindings as long as it isn't conflicting with an already set one by the actual distro developers. If it is, then all you gotta do is go change that one if you really want that one to be that one, or find one that doesn't conflict with one of those. So on Shift Q, closes right out of it. Now let's say I want to open the actual file manager. So I hit Mod Shift F. There's PCman FM, which is the file manager that's already installed. Not only did I open it, but I also opened it in a very specific format. That's right. I opened it into a floating window manager, because not everybody wants to have their file manager, when they're diving into it, to be superimposed over everything or split the window that you're working in half because you're busy trying to look for a document name maybe or whatever. But either way, so there's a way to set that in the configuration file as well. And that's what we're going to look at today. How to assign a key binding to actually open a specific window, and then how to make it open in a floating format if it's one that should be open in a floating format. If it isn't, then you don't have to worry about it, because by default, it's going to want to open into the full screen real estate or split another window in half or quarter or whatever. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So to do that, we're going to first have to find out our configuration files. So let's go ahead and open up our file picker, our file manager, and we're going to go to the .config. Okay. And then we're going to go to Sway. This is the one that's in your path. This is the one that you're going to use. Now, if you look, you've got three of them here. Okay. You have the config, you have the outputs, and then you have the space. The outputs and space are kind of important because this right here, if we double click on this one and open up, and it's going to be Pluma that opens up, which is their text editor. As you can see right here, this is where you could actually configure your displays, okay, in Sway. So it's your output section. In your output section, as you can see, I have LVDS-2, which is my actual laptop display. This is actually installed on hard bare metal, and I have it disabled because its resolution is different from the screen. And if I try to mirror, it would be actually horrible. So I just disabled it, and I'm just completely using it on my external display, which is what I'm capturing in OBS. So I have that set to these definitions. Now you can go to the wiki, Sway wiki, and figure out exactly how to set up your displays. It'll tell you this exact thing with the parentheses and everything. So you can just copy and paste and then just edit the fields, or you can copy this right here. This is the display section of it, right? So now workspaces. Now in a home manager, in a window manager, you have workspaces. Some people, like in a actual like KDE GNOME, it's similar to virtual desktops. Only difference is they open up on the bar. Up here, like you see, I have the 1 colon, and then I have 2. It's got 2 icons. It's got the Sway config, and then the file manager open, right? As you can see, it's got the folder icon for the file manager. So if I were to open up another workspace, then it would be number 2, so forth and so forth. And so to do that, there are key bindings that you can look in the help menu to open up other workspaces. I'm not concentrating on that. I'm just trying to show you this. So this is where you can configure your workspaces. As you can see in this one, what you can do is you can actually assign displays for the workspace to stay on, so it's static to that display. So if I have 3 displays on here, you label it via the actual display name. So like right now, I have workspace 1 set to output on the display port 1, which is this one here, the external monitor, and workspace 3 to be displayed on here. So if I open up workspace 2, it will pop up here because it's the only one I have. But say I have my other display enabled on my laptop, and then it'll open up over there if I'm over there, or over here if I'm over here. Wherever my mouse is at is where it's going to open up. Whereas if I strike workspace 1 to open up the key bindings for open up that workspace, it will only open up on this display, and workspace 3 will only open up on this display. All others are free game to go wherever they want. And that's really nice in a window manager, because at that point in time, you can actually assign certain windows to open up in multiple displays so that it helps maximize the efficiency of your workflow. Once again, that's the purpose of a window manager. And this is where I think the UbuntuSway Remix marries those both worlds to a degree, in the sense of that it introduces you very user-friendly like into an actual window manager environment, but it's made and set up to feel like a desktop environment, which it is not. And so I want to show you the flexibility of that. So that is a look at those 2 workspaces in order to set parameters within those to maximize your workflow. Now, the one that you're going to live in the most is the one where you're going to assign key bindings and tell Windows how to open. Okay, and that's going to be in this config file, and also in the original config file, which can be found in Etsy Sway config. That's the global one. Now, let me explain the difference, and let's see if I can open up a tab here, and I'll show you. New tab. And we're going to go to File System, and we're going to go to Etsy, and we're going to go to Sway, which is down at the bottom. I think if I hit S, click in here, like highlight that and hit S, it should take me down to the S, isn't it? Oh, I was already there. And so we're going to go to Sway, which is right here, and we're going to go to Config right here, okay? And if you open this one, notice, now let's close this File Manager window, okay? And look at this. Look at this one, which is in your path, which is in your home folder, okay? In your home .config Sway. And then look at this one, which is in the Etsy folder. This is global. As you can see, there's a whole lot more completely assigned in here. This is the one where all your moving, your workspaces and stuff like that, to switch to workspaces and stuff like that, which is going to be the mod and the number key, or the mod shift moves a container to there. A container is a window that you have open, like VLC. If you have it open, you can move it to another workspace by hitting mod shift and then the number of the workspace. You could also do the resizing right here, or splitting. There's all different things that are set here that you can actually do with your actual configuration, including the sway bar right here. This puts in where to use your sway bar and all that good stuff. Now, just like i3, it's very similar to i3 on X11, so you shouldn't have a problem identifying this if you've used i3 and being right at home in it. But if you're new to it, this is the global menu. This is the one. Now, to access this, you're going to have to use a text editor like Vim neovim, whichever, where you would do sudo and then type the path sudo vim and then /etc/sway /config, and then it'll open it up, and then you can edit it in the actual vim editor. But this one here, because it is a very simple, right in your path, you don't need any actual sudoers or elevated privileges to edit it. You can edit this right with Pluma. And so that's what we've opened up today. Now, what I want to do is go over, as you can see, I've the key bindings right here are for Firefox. And what I did is I simply, at the very end of the file, where it says like include NWG displays, that's the GUI app by NWG Look that allows you to adjust your render, your resolutions, your output screen where it's going to, and all that kind of stuff. So you could actually use that, and that's fine. Otherwise, there, if you didn't have that, you would actually have to put the render commands or WL render commands in order for it to actually draw the windows way you need it, the resolution way you need it on each monitor. But that is easy. You can find that in the wiki. We're not concentrating on that. So what I did is I made this other commented section right here, which is, you can name it whatever you want. I called it app launch or program launch or key bindings for launching, programs, or whatever you want to type it in there. Just do a descriptor in there so that you know what this section's about. And then you add the actual commands. Now the command that you're going to do is just like I did here. Okay, and you can find that in the original config file if you're not sure where to find it, or you can actually find it on the wiki. So either way, what you want to do is we're going to do VLC. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to type in bind sim space and then the $sign mod plus. And if you noticed in their configuration file, any of these type of launching certain tools and stuff like that, they always use the mod shift key combination. You could stick with that to kind of keep it synonymous for you, easy to remember. There's always mod shift plus whatever mnemonic letter you want to give it, or you can make it differently. Like mine, I always do for my if you notice here, I got mod shift plus W, mod plus shift plus W to launch my web browser. Well, on my hyperlink config, I actually just use mod plus W, mod in the web browser, because that's not a configuration that's already done. Now, if you're installing a vanilla window manager, then you could set these key bindings any way you want. There is no pre-configured ones that you got to worry about. And if you do happen to do one that is a pre-configured one, it's going to conflict. It's going to give you an error. Now, what I will tell you is that if I do, for VLC, if I do mod shift V in this configuration file, it's going to error, but I'm not going to get a message. i3 will usually give you a red message at the top saying it's a conflict with whatever, tell you the line number, what you got to fix. Well, this one, when I do that, it doesn't do anything. It just doesn't work. And it's because mod shift V tabs from splitting from being horizontal to vertically. And I think mod shift H does horizontal splitting. So if I do that, it's going to create a conflict. So I can't do that. So what I need to, mod shift, V does that. So to do, say we want to open up VLC, that's why V is important in this. That's where my mind was at with V. So I want to open up VLC. So I do mod capital shift V plus V, right? And then we're going to type exec, EXEC, exec for execute, and then VLC. That's it. That's all you have to type. We're going to go ahead and we're going to save this. Now, you can either go up here once again, just like you would in a desktop environment, and then go to click save, right? But as you can see, it's got a key combination right next to it, Control S. So why not make your workflow faster and just hit Control S? Now it's saving. It's all done. You want to reload the configuration file by hitting mod shift C, Charlie, and that reload. If you notice the cursor right here, watch, it'll change. Whenever I hit it, it'll change. It'll see how it changed the cursor and went back to being the actual thing. That is because it just reloaded the file. So now if I hit mod shift V, you're obviously going to see that it worked, right? Okay, so now that we have our key binding set for VLC and we can see that it works, when I hit mod shift V for VLC, it opens up. Of course, it's going to open up to the maximum amount of real estate that's available on the screen, which is splitting like this. It splits it in half. So then if I hit V again, it's going to split that window. And as I showed, if I wanted to split it into this window, I hit Mod Shift V, and then it splits there. So now I have 3 instances of this. So let's go ahead and close those. And let's go ahead and close these 2 over here. So now we have that. Now, a classic example. So let's say that we want something that opens up because by nature, close without saving. No, we are going to hit Control S. I don't know what I didn't save, but we're saving it, and then we can hit Shift Q. Say there's something that opens up constantly, and there's one program that always opens up constantly to the max amount of real estate, because that's what a window manager does by default. Maximizes the use of real estate on a workspace, allow you to use it more efficiently. There's some programs that open up maximum that are like, oof, why? Per your personal preference. Mine, one of those is my terminal. Now the key binding for that is going to be the mod and enter. That's usually standard in all window managers. Mod and enter always opens up a terminal. See how this opened up fully? That is kind of gross to me. I don't think that terminals should open up maximum. I believe that they should be like in the desktop environments where they're open up to a certain size and the compositor draws it and it keeps it there, and that's the way it is. To do that, stop this terminal is foot. To stop foot from opening up in a huge, ginormous fashion, what we're going to do is we're going to edit the config file to do like this. PCManFM. PCManFM used to do that whenever I did the open it up before I set the command for it to do it this way, which is way better. So to do that, what we're going to do is oh, sorry, I needed that. I don't know why I closed it. We're going to go back into our config file. Now we're going to go down to Sway, and we're going to go to config. And then if you notice at the very bottom, close out of that. If you go here to the very bottom, you see where I have another section that I created called Windows that float when opened. You can call it whatever you want. Floating windows only, or only floating apps for Windows, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. Whatever works for you. So you're going to give it this value in here. Only instead of PCManFM, it's going to be the actual app name that you choose. So we're going to do a simple thing is copy and paste, right? Or you can type it if you want. We're going to copy, and we're going to do this, and then we're going to already on the next line, and we're just going to hit Control V for paste. Now all we're going to do is we're going to change this to foot. We're going to backspace out of there, and we're going to type in foot. That's it. That's all there's to it. Control S. We're saving the file. Reload our configuration file. See how the icon changed? We'll do that again so you can see the little icon changed for the pointer. It changed back to the pointer, then back to the line thing. Now we know that configuration reloaded. So now every time I hit window enter to open up the terminal, the foot terminal, it should open floating. And now we have it floating. It's just that simple. So that is a look on how to configure things in Sway Manager in the configuration file to set parameters for controlling your windows. It's that simple. And ideally, when you're dealing with a window manager, you want to set yourself up to have the key bindings and the windows to open in the way that are more efficient and maximize your workflow for you. Because oftentimes you're using these windows and maneuvering through things for a reason, and some of them you don't want to open up all the way. You want them to impose themselves over top of something so you can look, drag it away, blah, blah, whatever. So that is like, you can do scratch pads that way. You can do things like, to switch like that. I mean, that's the thing about a window manager that is so glorious. It is very much so 100% customizable. It's easy to do in the configuration file should you have good knowledge. Like I said, in the description, I'll put down the Sway wiki in there for you to be able to go to actually, to reference to, or you could reference to this video. And I'm pretty sure there's some other ones out there. I was just asked to do this video, so that's why I did it. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. It helps out so much in the algorithm for YouTube. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. That helps as well. And if you can, consider joining the channel or maybe buying us a coffee over at Buy Me a Coffee. Both those ways help out the channel very much. Either way, you guys keep doing what you do. Keep on Linuxing. Stay blessed, stay happy, and above all, I'll see you in the very next one.